Hi, in this video we are going to look at the 4 built-in data types for Python which are in charge of storage of the data collections. Since Python doesn't have the major data type for storage of data collections such as arrays, but in this video we are going to exhaust the 4 built-in data types as follows. So before we go ahead, I would like you to give me a subscription there or down so that you can be notified of the next coming videos with me and we revise together. So let's get in and we start. So let me first give the highlights of all the 4 data types as we are going to see them. So these 4 properties that I'm gonna write here are the major keys for what you need to follow along this video, and then you get everything in it. So let me write them here. So we are saying that lists are ordered, they are mutable, and then they allow duplicate elements. Being ordered means they are indexed and you can even access them by their indices. So they are mutable, meaning they can be changed, and they allow duplicate elements. In a list you can have many words which are the same or many numbers that are the same, like 1 2 1 2 1 1. So it allows duplicate elements. Then tuples they are ordered, they allow duplicate elements, but one thing is that whatever you have already put inside them, it is hard to change them, though there are some ways we're gonna see of how to change elements that have been already pushed into an immutable tuple. So dictionaries are ordered, they are immutable, and for them they don't allow duplicate elements. So sets are unordered, they are immutable, and they also don't allow duplicate elements. In a set you can have many elements, but it is not necessary that they get ordered or they start from, if they are vowels they start from N, they stop at U. U can start and A can be at the middle. So they can't be changed since we cannot access their indexes, and again they don't allow duplicate elements. So keys of the dictionaries can't be the same as other keys, they can be different, but dictionaries as a whole, they don't allow duplicate elements. So let's get started with lists first of all. In lists we are going to look at accessing the list items. We change them, we remove, we loop through lists, and we use some of the list complication methods so that we can loop through them within just few lines instead of writing 3 lines looping through lists as a whole. We are going to look at sorting, copying, joining them, and all other methods, the way you can access them. So let's get in by lists, and thereafter we shall have some exercises that we're gonna do about them, and that will be the way to go. So let's start. So I'm creating my list. Let me call it a num list. A list of numbers 1 2 3. Let me give it an order 67 1. And now first of all we have to access the items of the list. So we're gonna use the list indexes, and we can use the loop function to loop through its values. So let's access the items of this list using the slicing methods. So we're gonna say that we can just print out our num list, but at index of like 0 or 1. So let me press Shift Control and F10 to run this. Here it should be current file. Sometimes if there is main.py, it doesn't respond. So we have our 1 at index 0. So that's the way I can access the list items for that case. Or I can loop through them for x in num list colon, and then I print that x. I should have all the elements printed at the same line, not at the same line, on different lines, since it's a for loop. So here we are, and we shall see how to modify all these ones. So let me comment out this line and I call it accessing list items, and there, before we can even say print my num list by using this, I transfer this for better organization of my work. And I wanna print a list. I access items from index 0 up to index 4. Using positive indexing, we have it clear that the first starting index is inclusive and the last one is exclusive. So we will count from 1, this is 0, then 1, 2, 3, and then this 4 won't be printed out. So that's basically the use of the positive indexing when you're accessing items, whether in a string. Those strings are the basic Python for starters. So you can access those characters of a string using the positive indexing in this way of first inclusive and the last one exclusive, as the way I've done it here. Let's first comment out this, since it will complicate my code show here, and then I print out this. We can get it that it is from index 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. At index 4 is not printed since it is exclusive. So now let me use negative indexing to access. Negative indexing, it is the same way we access, only that to keep in mind, the last element in a list is given an index of -1. And so when you're using negative indexing to access elements of a list or a string or something else, your starting index should be always less than the last index. So if this is -4, the other one has to be like -2. And as usual, the first index is printed is inclusive and the last one is not inclusive. You can see a red line here, meaning we are missing something. So we are printing what? Num list, but in this case the indices must be in square brackets. So let's print that. So we can see that this is -1, -2, -3, -4 inclusive. Here it is, and then up to -2, but -2 exclusive. -1, -2. So we have our 8 ending here. is not there from this end of the list. So that's it about accessing list items by slicing. And now let's go to changing those list items that we've accessed. Remember, this is commented out for the purposes of not interfering with the way my code shows up here, so for visibility options. But we can continue and we look at accessing and again changing those list items. So let's change the list items by their indexes, and we can now say that num list at index of 1, I want it to change to some other thing. Changed item is what will appear. But instead of purposes of uniformity, let me just make it something like a number, so that our list contains only numbers if to, and then contains only strings if to do so for organization purposes. So my list at 1 should be changed to 65. So if I try to print my num list, it will show me that at least 1 there is 65. So that's it. And we can also change our list items by using other methods. If we don't want to lose this 65, then we use the insert method. So we shall say numList dot insert. Then insert needs two arguments. The first should be the index, and then the rest one should be what you want to put at that position. If it is at 1, what do we need to put at 1? I can put a number also, like 80. So if I try to print out my list, we shall find out that it is 80 and the 65 has not gone, so that's when we have used the insert method. So we can now add or remove items from the list. So let me also comment out that we are either adding or removing So we have our list. We can start with the simplest methods of adding items and removing them. And adding items into a list is by use of its list method append. So I will now have to say that numList.append. Append, what it does, it looks at the end of the list and inserts that what you've given into the list. So at the end of the list, I want to put 100. So if I put 100 and I try to print out my number list, you will find out that it is actually at the end there is 100. Then we can also remove that item we have put at the last by using the pop method. So if I say numList.pop, pop this, if not given any argument, it removes the last item, but if given an argument, it then removes that item you specified at that index. Can take or not take an argument. So I'll have to print my num list and we see if we popped, did 100 go? we can see that 100 is no longer existing. So let's now use the remove method to remove the element that we need instead of using the index. So that's where the remove method comes into play. So I will have to say num list dot remove, and I wanna remove a 65 from my list, and I try to print num list. I will see that surely my 65 has gone. And now we go to the next, which is clear and then delete. So clear removes all the list items and it leaves the list empty. And delete, by using del keyword, it deletes the whole list. It doesn't leave anything. So let's say our num list dot clear, and now it has cleared all the lists. So if we try to print our num list, we should see that it is an empty list. I'm running this code by pressing shift function and F10 instead of first moving around with the mouse and looking for the play button to run my code. So we can see that now it is an empty list that we are left with. So we can also say delete that empty list. Delete for it quenches everything. So if we try to print now, to print our num list, we shall see that we are trying to print something that is not there, that is not defined. That's where the error comes from. So now we are at the next step of using the list joining methods. We can either extend or we use some other methods, copying and concatenating them. So let's create other two lists since the other one has been deleted now. I call this as list1, a list of items such as we have, let me create items of numbers. I have Josh, I have John, I have, and these are the two lists that I have per now, and I have to copy them or extend them. So let me just say a copied list will be list1 dot copy, then list2 as an argument. So if I try to print out this, the copied list, I should get a list that, let me try to look at this. Yes, copy shouldn't take any argument, by the way, because it is copying values of list 1 and then attaching them to this copied list. So it is enough to say copied list equals to l1.copy. So when we print out the copied list, we shall find that it is having elements of this of list 1. So why is it not printing here? So when we try to look at our code, we remember it had some error which was here as it was trying to print the num list which was already deleted before, so that's why it is running into an error and stopping there and then. So we have to comment out this one and we should get successful. Shift function and F10. Yes, so they are printing out these ones. So it has copied those elements. And now let's extended list. Extended list will be equaling to list 1 dot extend, and we put list 2 and we try to print out and print our extended list, but list 1 is the one we are extending to list 2, so no need of first hiding it or packing it into another variable. So we have to print the list 1 because it is already extended. At the end of it has been added another list 2. So let's run this and see what it gives us. Yes, this is our output. So let's go ahead with join the list. So let me just give it a variable of joined list equaling to list 1, which is already extended up there, then plus my other list which I can have as the copied list, and then I print out our joined list and we see what it gives. See that it gives the other copied list and adds it on this L1. So that's how far we've gone with those list methods, and we are now left with list comprehension. I left it to be done at the end because at least that one we can maneuver through and we see something that can make us think beyond. So list comprehension is our next, as we later on leave this at this and leave space for the list exercises, and then we go to dictionaries and we go to tuples, then sets as we end this. So let's go to list comprehension. So we remember when we were looping through the elements of the list, we were using a for loop, like for x in anything like list, then we print that x. So these are 2 lines of code, and we can do it just within 1 line of code by using the list comprehension stuff. So the list comprehension, you can just use this method that the output you want to be shown on your screen, print x, then print x, and for x in, let's say our last list was the joined list, so this one takes place of the other 2-line code for list, then downwards print this and this. So only 1 line can stand on its own, even given conditions, if this happens or else. We are also gonna see about this, and let's first print this and see if it gives us different rows of code printing the for loop as commanded to do so. So we can see that it reacts accordingly to what we are trying to do. So let's use the list comprehension where we have conditions even talking about our output in our code. So we have some condition that we have. Let's look at this code. Let's say we wanna assign all values in another list that, okay, let me first write it. X, if X, let's say all values that are not Josh in our above list, and we look at this. X, if X is not equal to, let's say, Josh, else, let's say return, let's say Joel for any value of X in, let's say, the joined list. So what this will do, it will have this condition that return the item if it is not Josh, or if it is Josh, then return Joel in that place of Josh. So you can see that you can comprehend all the functions that would go in the if statement and the else in only one line. And let me make this one as a variable, one line string comprehension. I assign it to that, and then I print my one line. But let me just reduce on how huge it is. It is not a good practice. One line, only that can convey the message I wanted to convey. So if I print out this one, you will see that it has, in place of Josh, given Joel to that variable. So lists, we might not exhaust them in this video, as I wanted it to take as short time as it can take. And then we go to tuples, which I think will take less time because there is something little we can talk about it in this case. So let me end here by leaving out this, if I wanted to look at what a list can contain, let's say in its methods, I use its simple formula directory, which is not specific to this list, but you can use it all in other data types. So I'm saying dir, which is the directory of, let's say, of one line, which is a list that we have created above, and we print it since we are not in interactive mode, because if we don't put a print statement, we might not get successful as we want. So we can see that lists have a lot of functions, and we can see we exhausted many of them, apart from the sort method that I see here, which is also important. It sorts elements of a list in ascending order if not given any argument, and if given an argument of reverse equaling to true, it will do the needful to sort the list into descending order. And again, the sort function if you're having different case elements in your list. You can first convert them, or you put an argument in the sort function of that list dot lower equaling to true, and then you sort it. Let me talk to you in the next video when we are looking at tuples, and you can just comment where you are not conversant with how it is going with you there, or if it is very okay, then you find it important and you can just give me a thumbs up. And the best way you can reward me is just to give me a subscription. So let me talk to you in the next video. See you.